Hello and welcome to the seventh episode of The Probe. In this episode, we will be tackling the different pointers in writing the news story. Specifically, we're going to master the following learning objectives. The first one being to know the general rules and guidelines in writing the news story. And then the second one is to know how to properly format a news story. So, in the previous sessions of the probe, you were able to gather all of the facts. And you, as the reporter, you also have in the field, you have to gather your facts. And once you have already done so, you have now to sit on your laptop or perhaps on your phone and think about your notes. Look at your notes. So you know that from experience, all forms of writing they call for a definite plan, and at the time that you now are spending and making an outline will be more than saved when you start writing your news story. Remember that in writing the news story, clarity is always our goal. Again, clarity is always our goal. No matter what you're writing actually in journalism, in campus journalism, you always have to strive for clarity. Apart from that, you also have to strive for accuracy, you have to strive for simplicity. These are the basic requirements in telling a news story. The second one is that you have to be sure that the facts are clear before you try to tell them to others. Kailangan sigurado ka na malinaw yung mga facts na mayroon ka. Okay, you can actually emphasize that by being more specific. You have to generalize. You have to avoid generalizing. Instead of saying a big crowd, try saying 80,000. Okay, a big crowd of people, you can like say that, but like a crowd of 80,000 people, that is going to be better because you are being specific. Yun. So also in writing the news story, it is always better. It is better, usually, if it's not always, to use the active voice more often. Halimbawa, saying George hit the ball is better than saying that the ball was hit by George. Okay, so in telling your story, say someone did something, you have to say it in that way. Someone did something, not like something was done by someone. Ayan. Okay, so I know that we were just like three pointers long, but I hope that you keep these as tidbits in mind para hindi mo sila makalimutan. Okay, so also you have to use really short sentences and phrases to describe action. Halimbawa, the driver lunging at the bee buzzing around his head lost control of the driving wheel, and the car wound up in a ditch. That is actually a slower story. Napaka detailed. Okay, we're striving for details, but we don't say it like that. We don't say it in a way na napakabagal. Okay, especially dito sa scenario na to na ang bilis supposedly ng mga pangyayari pero yung pagkakasabi niya napakabagal. So instead of using that kind of form for the sentence, you can go for the driver lunged at the bee, lost control of the car, and wound up in the ditch. That is a faster way of saying what happened. Yeah. Okay, so you can also choose to vary the construction of your sentences at ng mga paragraph mo. You can actually get away from the excessive use of a simple declarative statement. So ano ba yung simple declarative statement? Yung usual na structure na merong subject, tas may predicate, ganon. You can actually move away from that. Okay, so that kasi if you're always going to use a kind of sentence structure, your story may become dull. Okay, so you can use participles, you can use subordinate clauses, infinitives, and other grammatical devices at the beginning of your sentence or perhaps when you're transitioning from one paragraph to another. For example, Jose said that Pedro has absconded the money and then added that he tried to stop him. That is a good sentence, but you can still make it better by writing, saying that he tried to stop him, or Pedro took the money even though I tried to stop him, as I said. Pwede mong like inarrate yung mga pangyayari that way. Ayan. So, saying that he tried to stop him is much like using a gerund. Okay, again, that is much like using gerund. Okay, and then when you say naman, Pedro took the money even though I tried to stop him, like you're quoting what Jose said, that is using a direct quotation, which is also a better way of writing the story. Okay, so for the next set of pointers, you have to tackle an idea per paragraph and you have to keep them short. By doing this, you are preserving the unity or the oneness of your paper, of your news story. Do not aim at putting like 5 ideas in one sentence. You have to let your reader mentally breathe. Hayaan mo siyang huminga mentally while reading your paper. Huwag mo siyang suffocate. Also, you have to keep paragraphs and sentences follow one another smoothly for continuity or coherence. To ensure that there is coherence in your news story, you can use the transitional devices that I included in the previous sessions, or you can also come up with your own way of transitioning from one idea to another. You don't begin sentences with numerals. Instead of saying 34 men, like as in the numeral 34, you have to write it like in words. So 34 men, like 34 is written as a word. Ayan. Also, you have to identify all of the persons that you mentioned in the story. You can do this by giving their age, their address. Also, you can mention their occupation, etc. Like, say, for instance, resident, Rosa Ocampo, a resident, ganon, or a 25-year-old resident of San Pedro Dos, Magalang. Like, you can give some details about them that may not be too personal naman. Yeah. Also, you can consider omitting superfluous statements. Like, say, for instance, he was divorced from his wife, or he was divorced from his husband. Like, okay, obviously, you can only get divorced from someone you married. So if it's a wife, then they got married. So it's obvious that you only get divorced from your wife if you have a wife. Or if you have a husband, like, you can only get divorced from your husband. So when you're saying you were divorced or he was divorced, it's understood. Also, the accident happened at 4:30 a.m. this morning. Putting 4:30 a.m. is enough. You can just omit, this morning. Anyway, that is less specific, right? Yun. Omit them. You have to avoid overusing undefined legal terminology and unexplained technical terms or foreign words. Yung mga super deep na jargons, avoid them. Also, avoid them if you can't explain them. Ayun. Or if explaining them is not really, the main idea of the news story. You can, perhaps write a feature story about it. So if you did write a feature story about it, make sure that whatever jargon, whatever technical term you used, you define it. Okay? Okay. Also, you have to avoid expressions like, one had his leg broken, Maria had her pocket picked. Because no sane person will be having these things done to themselves. Okay, so avoid them. Yung had his. Like, avoid that. Okay, so the pointers so far are a lot na. So again, if you want to go back to a pointer so that you would be able to really absorb it, you can always do that. Okay, yung next naman is you have to use simple everyday words, and you also have to be concise since you're aiming for accuracy, for simplicity, and for conciseness. And also for clarity, ayan. So you have to incorporate those forwards. Ganun lang. And then also you have to avoid editorializing. Editorializing is putting the writer's opinion in the story. This is this is taboo in an objective news reporting. The column or the editorial is there's a separate section for that. You don't do that in your news story. Huwag mong sabihin na halimbawa, the school principal has allowed the use of tumblers in school, which I think is a very weak move. You know, you don't have to put that last part of it, like which I think you can just tell your readers that the principal has approved this kind of move. Okay, they don't really need to hear your opinion in it unless you're part of you're part of the writers who will be writing the editorial. Okay, just reserve your opinion in that section. May separate section tayo para dyan. Okay. Also, when you're typing it na, you have to type it on a page that is 8.5 by 11 in terms of its tawag doon, mga sizes niya. Okay, so short bond paper yan with paragraph spacing set at double space. Tapos, indicate mo yung beat mo on the upper left-hand corner of the page. So kung sa sports man yan, sports news, or feature, pwedeng community news or news per se, like straight news, business, tech, news, etc. Indicate that on the upper left-hand corner of your page. And you have to type at the middle of the page. Writing or typing at the middle of the page will be giving the editor space at the top and bottom of the page to for the comments, for the instructions and corrections. Ayan. So, working in a publication, working as a team of writers in a publication, these are the basic requirements. Okay, so keep them in mind para mas maging fluid yung work ng publication. Also, you have to keep a copy of your own news story. Huwag mong ilulose yung copy mo na yan because it may be needed. Save the file on your computer or on a flash drive, thumb drive, or perhaps upload it in the cloud. Or if the publication has a computer or has this cloud, you can save multiple copies of it. Ayan, para hindi nyo malose yung news story. And so those are the pointers in writing a news story, and I hope that you were able to learn something about it. Okay, so there is this exercise na pinrepare ko para sa iyo in the description of this video. So I hope that you will be trying it out and see for yourself kung kaya mo na mag-arrange ng mga components sa isang news story. Ayan. So this has been Sir CJ, and I hope that I will be seeing you in the next edition of The Probe. Have a good day.